Welcome back to the Your Galactic Guide podcast. I am your host, Angharad, and today on this podcast, I have an interview where I was interviewed and we had a really glorious chat about wealth and parenting and quantum leaping dimensions and relationships and love and business and mentors and expanding into our manifestations. And in this episode, I share really deeply about the pieces that had held me back and the formulations and the templates that I have created on the journey for, I want to say overcoming, but really that would be doing the challenges a disservice, for working with the duality of our desires and our 3D reality, and how I now, as the master precipitator and master manifester, work with the frequencies of life and of duality and of multidimensionality as we are creating the most beautifully abundant and wildly aligned businesses and structures for us.
Woohoo, I think we might be live. So welcome everyone. We've got our beautiful soul sister, Angharad Sage. It gives me absolute amazing pleasure to introduce us all to our beautiful soul sister, Angharad Sage. And have I said your name right?
You have, yes.
It's such a beautiful name. Like, what does it mean?
It means much loved. So my family's actually Welsh. So my lineage is from the UK anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
What, both your mum and dad?
So my dad's actually Irish. He was born here in New Zealand, but his whole family's Irish. And all my lineage is mostly, over in Ireland and Wales, yeah.
Wow. And have you been to the UK?
Heaps. I love it so much.
Really?
Yeah,
you've got the English rose vibe about you, haven't you? Totally. Oh, so Angharad, I don't know how I found you. I was so lucky I found you. We're all in this cosmic soup, and I've joined the sort of like the wealth conversation, and it's like my community is like, why is she speaking about wealth? That's not very spiritual. Like, it kind of like sent those people into a tiz. Do you know what I mean? And I was just like, well, this is where we're going, guys. This is the evolution. And if you don't want to be part of this conversation, you can just drop off right now, because like this is where we're going. And I don't take my direction from you. I take my direction from God. And this is clearly the codes that we're going to be empowering and activating now. And we're on this journey. So, and I just see our evolution as like trees, and it's like, we grow and we're a tree, and then we have all the leaves, and they represent our clients and our friends that we simply outgrow, and then we have another burst of growth, and all those old leaves, they just kind of like drop away, and those beautiful new leaves start forming, and that's what's happening. Like, it's been an interesting, to suddenly be talking about this. Oh, she's just talking about money. Oh, we knew it would all just come down to money. It's like, no, it's not really about that. Do you know what I mean? It's actually about why am I suddenly having this conversation is a very, very important, deep reason why I'm having this conversation. But I'd like to ask you, why are you so driven by this?
That's a great question. I was actually speaking about it with my husband, and it might not be the answer that you're kind of expecting, but so I lost my father when I was 7 years old and went through 20-ish years of like quite deep depression and a lot of anxiety, like extreme mental health, and just it was very dark for a long, long time. And then I had my come to myself moment when I was 25. I had severe postpartum depression with my 2 kids, and it was just like a lot. But in that moment, honestly, there was nothing more that I desired to be a self-funded, self-made woman. Right. There wasn't, to be in control of my reality and to be self-made and self-funded. And for me, that was like ultimate freedom. It's always been about freedom for me, freedom of time, freedom to raise my kids how I want to, freedom to travel how I want to, freedom to express myself how I want to, freedom to speak what I want to, right? Because I had a lot of I had and do still have, I guess I'm still working through a lot of past life trauma. I had my first flashback to my first past life when I was 8 years old about being burnt as a witch. And that was traumatic for me, as an 8-year-old. You know what I mean? There's been so much that, that I have, I was going to say uncoded, but that's not even I don't know, that's an interesting word. I've not used that word before, but recoded and been able to heal through this lifetime across like a lot of different dimensions. So for me, like it was like this propelling moment, this like, a plastic water bottle, you squeeze it and it's like all the water comes out. And I was like so full of not great things. And my moment of like squeezing moment like drove me to be like, this is my motherfucking life and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it and I'm going to be in control of it and I'm going to do it exactly how I want to. And that's the journey that I really went on.
So it was just like you set an intention. You were like, I am done. I am done with this feeling of lack. I'm done with this feeling of limitation. I'm going to step into my power and I'm going to do what it takes, quite frankly.
Absolutely. I didn't have the language for that at that point, but that was the energy, right? Absolutely. I was like, I'm so done. I'm done. Like I nearly took my life. Like I was, the closest I'd ever been. I literally screamed out at God and I was like, you must have a fucking plan for me because I cannot get here all the way to here and not be able to do this. Like there has to be a plan and I am not accepting this reality for my life like anymore. I was like fully, I had nothing else to lose. And I was like, I don't accept this. I just literally drew the line and said, I was like, I do not accept this. I declare it will not.
Wow. You are quite the advocate for mentors, for working with mentors and mentors as a fast track to kind of like level up. So did you kind of think straight away when you got on that path, I'm going to find myself a mentor?
So that's the interesting thing is I didn't even know what personal development was. I had no idea what at this moment, I had not like that breaking moment. I had no idea what a mentor was. I had no idea what personal development was. I had no idea that coaches exist except like sports coaches, for football. Like it's the only thing I had no idea. Like I didn't know about podcasts. I didn't know about any of this stuff. And one day I stumbled across a podcast and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it was like a personal development podcast. And my whole world changed. So for the first like quite a few years, I was that person that like went to every free masterclass, that listened to every single podcast, that like I was the person who listened to this stuff and actually did the work. Honestly, free content literally changed my whole entire life to get to the point where I was confident enough in myself that I knew I was going to be an investment, not a gamble, basically. And I signed up. I think the very first thing was like 800 New Zealand dollars, which is probably like 500 or 600, pounds. I signed up for a group coaching program to launch your soul business. I'd been wanting to start a food blog and I'd wanted to do a food blog for 10 years, for like a decade since I was a teenager, because I like amazing at cooking, anyway, all the things. And I finally launched the food blog, which then I also started a podcast because I wanted to give back to like my community and to my people. Because I was like, if everyone knew the things that I know about mindset, around emotional intelligence, and around like you can actually be the captain of your own ship, like the whole world would be different. So then I started the podcast, and eventually like it morphed into coaching quite quickly and all this sort of stuff. It's been a bit of a journey.
So when on that journey did you align with a mentor, like an actual sort of like one-to-one mentor?
At the beginning. So I did the beginning of my investing in myself. So I did a group coaching program, which was like 2 months. And straight after that, I hired that coach and worked with her for over a year, one-on-one.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So I was like, I'm fucking all in. Like I went all in. Like from the moment that I invested the very first thing to 12 months later, I'd invest like $100,000 into myself, into mentorship. Whoa. Yeah. So I had that business and I earned like $1,000 that year in my business. And we left our 6-figure job in that year as well, because we were like, it was sucking our souls. And we're like, we have to leave. I was like, honestly, people are like, how did you do it? I'm like, I was so in. Like, it wasn't even just the investing. It was that, like, no matter what, I was literally, no matter what, like, I will always find the way. I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I always knew, like, just something in me was just like, I know it's going to happen. It makes no logical sense in my current reality. Everyone's just suddenly, like, honestly, people in my life knew me as like, the people-pleasing, quiet, kind of depressed chick who next minute was like a coach, and they were like, the fuck? But like, and then my network grew. But like, the stuff that I went through wasn't a barrier. It made me like who I am, like the stuff that I went through, it wasn't the reason that I wasn't going to be where I was going. It was the exact reason why I was going the path that I was going on.
That's so true. And it's like that polarity, because you had to go into the deepest depths of darkness so that you can hold the light there, and so that you can have compassion for your brothers and sisters when they come to you at that level of despair, and you can sit with them and not run and not hide. And I think that is our true role as coaches. It's like I feel that it doesn't matter where you've come from. Like Angharad is such a successful person now, and you are really, really inspiring me with the kind of thresholds that you're reaching. And so it's like, if you can do it, if you can like achieve this, it makes it so possible and plausible for so many others. This can apply to being an actress. We can apply these principles to music, to being a musician, to working with a product, really activate exponential wealth. Do you know what I mean? Because that is what it is about, isn't it?
Like this work, like you're just saying, like it transcends everything, like all of us, right? Like at the center, like we're a human fucking being. And of course there's going to be wealth coaches and people who want to teach strategy and all the different things. But, me personally, it's kind of like everything. It's like emotional intelligence and parenting and like relationships and wealth stuff and like, activations and like connect with guides and like a lot of different layers, and there's not really a specific thing I specialize in except being the tits, I guess, like everyone growing and like
I absolutely loved your live yesterday. You did a little story and it was so cool. You were like, guys, I get asked this all the time. How did I do it? How did I do it? How did I reach my first 100K month? And you were like, God, what was it? You were like, I embodied that frequency. That's how I did it, guys. Please, can you talk to us about that? Because that's pure gold, that is.
Yeah, I remember talking about this sort of thing, when I was calibrating to that, right? And I was like, do you really just embody a frequency? But I can tell you on the other side of it, like you actually fucking do. But I remember questioning it. I remember the moment like I declared my first 6-figure month, and that's the month I also got it, because before that I hadn't even decided to reach for it. I just, for me, like so I'm a Capricorn, I'm a manifestor. I'm not sure if you guys are into astrology or human design, but like money, I'm totally driven. I love money. I'm like so driven by it. But what's more important to me, like I won't sacrifice money for my lifestyle or money for freedom or money for like how I want to live. Do you know what I mean? Like I will never, my husband is like, he's a Virgo. He very much like likes to have a lot of money stacked, but that's his thing. Loves it. And for me, I'm like, I will never sacrifice like fun for savings in a bank account, like just straight up fuck that. But anyway, so, I definitely like love money, but ultimately, it's and I'm not saying they have to I just want to make sure, like, I'm not saying you can't love money and that can't just be the reason you do this. Like you absolutely can just love money, and then the soul work is like it comes with it. But for me, like it's always about serving, like absolutely. And I think that the money is just the byproduct of me feeling really in alignment with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So anyway, when it came to the 100K months, my guides came in and said to me, like, how, and even now as we're a year away, like we're about to cross over for $1 million this year. And they said to me a few weeks ago, they were like, how do you want to remember this? Like, how do you, if you really trusted that this was a given, like if you really knew this was going to happen, how do you want it to feel? How do you want it to feel as you do it? Like, what is the memory you want to have? And it's very interesting because this is the thing, like the same thing that my guides told me before I'd even earned $1 in my business. They literally were like, it's a given. Like, don't stop going, don't stop growing, and you will get there. And I was like, really? Is that really the actual key to success? It really is. And so, when it came to the 100K months, for me, I was like, what's really important to me? And, we just moved across the other side of the country as a family. And I was like, I want to work less. Like I want to trust more. I want to trust myself more. I want to refine more. I want to invest more into myself. And that's honestly like what I did. And it's like, that one of my clients was asking me the other day, she was like, there's so much that's happened in the few months between, the last like 3 or 4 months. And she was like, what is it? And I was like, honestly, like I wish that I had done back when I was earning 20K months. I wish that I had embodied this absolute assumption that I that people want to work with me, right? That I will earn $100,000 a month, that I will have $1 million business, that I am highly valued, that people love to be in my circles, that people love to invest into themselves and work with me. Like, honestly, and that's the frequency that I'm at now. And it took me like longer to get there. I mean, it wasn't that long when I look back in hindsight, but that is the thing that like I wish I'd done a lot earlier, and it would have collapsed the timeline a lot quicker for sure.
So that is basically to step into assuming that is just the way it is. And so it's like you move through the world, sort of like having those conversations with yourself in that assumption energy. And is there any other tips? Like, do you write it out? Do you script it? Is there any other ways that you can embody it? Because I think this is the absolute crux of manifestation that we're speaking about here. And the question is, how do we make the string stronger?
I love this question. This is something that no one told me that I had to figure out all for my fucking self. Okay, so I have this assumption, which is essentially a belief, right? The assumption is a belief. Like I earn 100K months, right? The assumption that like, this is it, right? This is the frequency, right? Now, what happens is we write that, or we say that. You can write it, say it, think it, whatever feels really good to you. I don't necessarily I do all of the things, but I don't necessarily like just do it through journaling, if you know what I mean, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So there's that assumption or that belief or that thing with the vibration we're going for, or the feeling or whatever it is, the manifestation, right?
Yeah.
When we say that thing, there's going to be parts of us we're going to feel in our physical body 9 times out of 10, something that doesn't feel right. Like when you think about, $1 million month, like my around like my solar plexus goes, it's just like not ready, like not going to happen, right? And so we're obviously not fully on that frequency, right? But there's a part of us like, how we feel our heart's desires? The reason why we feel in our heart's desires is like our heart is literally the portal to the 5D, right? And more, but still.
Yeah.
And our desires, like our possibilities, like what we can do is in those frequencies, right? So the reason why we're feeling it in our heart is because it's actually existing and we're actually already connected to it now, right?
Yeah.
So when we pull this into our consciousness and we're like, I want to do this thing, this is the thing that I'm assuming, this thing that I'm working towards, right? The thing that I ask myself is, what part of me gets to be seen, heard, felt, or expressed by not having this thing that I say that I want, or this assumption or this manifestation that I say that I want? There's a book called Existential Kink by Edwards, Caroline someone, I can't remember her last name now. It's amazing. And she says in that book, evidence is proof of wanting. So if you have evidence in your life of not having this thing that you're consciously saying you're wanting, there's evidence that you actually don't, there's a part of you that actually doesn't want it. And I began doing this work like quite a few years ago. And the way I describe it is, in one of my programs, Money Manifestation Master, I've got a module. And one of the ways I describe, I have this visual that my guides gave me. And it's like, Spider-Man, right? And he's like going from building to building. And he's like here, and he's got a web attached here, and he flies off, as Abraham Hicks would say, the rocket of desire, right? So you attach the web, you have the assumption, the manifestation, so the web out of the wrist, right? And attaches to this building. Now, as he's swinging across, if he doesn't release this old web, he's not going to get to here, right? As he's shifting dimensions, as he's quantum leaping, that's what we're essentially doing, we're manifesting, right? We're shifting dimensions and quantum leaping. If we don't let go of this, if we don't sever this web coming out of our wrist, we can't actually get to this dimension, we'll be pulled back, right? So because this is not probably our dominant vibration, right, is over here, because it's the reality we're currently living in. So by asking ourselves the question, what parts of me gets to be seen, heard, felt, or expressed, we get to work through those things, or accept them, or heal them, or release them, whatever feels really good to us. We release that, and then we can quantum leap, and we can see that other dimension, the one we consciously have decided we want to be expressed in our 3D life.
Could you give us an example of that? This is so brilliant. This is gold.
When I asked myself that question around the $100,000, what part of me gets to be seen, heard, felt, or expressed? There was a part of me that was like still like to not reaching what I wanted. And I used to heal a part of me that's like likes the chase and also didn't really feel worthy of it, right? There's a part of me a big part of me that freaked out that I wouldn't have the support system around me in regards to my team, like with the huge influx of clients and like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, right. It's a back end thing. So those are the big things. And with the team, I just hired the team before I needed them, right? And what's something I was scared of? I was scared of not being worthy. So of course there was so much inner child stuff, and like being too much. Like I've always had those fears, like people are going to think I'm too much, people are going to think I'm flashy or showy. I'm like, I don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to tell anyone, Angharad, and that fixes that problem, right? So anyway, I did the inner work for that, and within a month I was at my 100K mark.
But I think the key that I've picked up from watching your like little lives and stories and stuff like that is that you always say that you stepped into that frequency, like you calibrated to that frequency. How long before you attained it?
I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe.
3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
I think it's like 3 years.
Yeah, no. Like, of course, no, I hadn't even, see, that's the thing for me, my webs that I have that hold me back, actually, like these webs, right, from quantum leaping, they actually also affect, well, certainly in the past, they did affect what I would consciously allow myself to go for, if you know what I mean? Like, because the thing is, like, I'm pushing the envelope so fucking far now. Like, to be earning someone's salary in a year is bonkers. Like, even that was way before I was at 100K, right? When I was sitting 50, 60K. Like, the last time I was paid in a salary job, I was earning $22,000, like, that's 5 years of work in a month, like for me, like it's, I don't know. And that's one of the reasons why I love mentors, right? Is because, especially business mentors that are further along than me, is because without them, like when I first told my first coach, the first one I hired, right, 101, that I wanted to earn $100,000 in a year, I nearly vomited because I thought that was so crazy, so fucking crazy to earn $100,000 working online. I knew no one. And still today in my physical life, like New Zealand's a small place, okay? It's like, it's itty bitty. So there's like no one like that I know of in New Zealand kind of doing this sort of work, right? And in the way that I am. So I'm always pushing the envelope, like way past what I've seen. So it's one of the reasons why I like working with the mentors and seeing them and being in their field, because I know that like my human's like, oh, it's not impossible. It is possible. You can go for more. So that's honestly one of the biggest things that I get from working with mentors is the permission to go for more, and that I'm not going to be an asshole, because I'm still reworking those beliefs, right, that rich people are assholes. I've learned over time that money just amplifies us, right? Like, it literally, so if you're an amazing person, if you're a generous person, if you're a happy person, if you're, if you're a very loving and heart-led person, money just amplifies it. But for a long, like, but I had a lot of beliefs around like that not being the case. So, it's something I'm always layers of going through that.
So much amazing wisdom you are sharing, but I want to just go back to this thing, because I think this is such a fantastic analogy that you're using around this whole kind of like Spider-Man thing, and it's such a sort of like key fundamental moment when we send forth our new web, we connect with our new string, and then we have to collapse that old string.
Personally, is honestly this little girl inside. Have you got kids?
Yeah, I've got a 17-year-old.
Oh, okay, so you remember the toddler phase when they like don't want to get out the door, and you're like, they're standing by the laundry door, and they're like, they won't put their shoes on, like, no, I don't want to go anywhere. And you're like, we have to go to school, we have to go to the grocery shop, what if we have to do? And they're like, no, I don't want to go. And they're like screaming, and you're like, that's honestly, when I do this work, there's a little girl inside me that's like, no, I don't want $100,000. Honestly, there's a little girl inside me who's like, that was really loud, but still, there's a little girl inside me that's very wounded who's like, no, I'm scared of that. No, I don't want to do it. No, I don't trust you. I'm like worried. Is it really going to be okay? There's a little girl inside me that's like fearful of it, right? And for so many different reasons. So I go back and reparent her. She's standing at the door, and I go reparent her the way I always wish that I was reparented, to heal that and close that loop and like bring her back to me now, so that we can not be stuck right at that emotional level. And we can come and be an adult, and she can come out and play and actually enjoy life.
And what does that look like?
I go back and like, with no pressure to get out the door, essentially, like not trying to get the result, I literally just go and love her for who she is right now, and fully validate her, fully see her, fully like be present with her the way I always wanted to be parented, like quite literally, like no like pressure on getting out the door, like just the door doesn't even exist. I'm here for you as long as it takes. We don't have to go anywhere, just literally like be with her. And then I tell her all of the things, sometimes it's 9 times out of 10 it's speaking, but I tell her the things that she needed to hear, or that that she's loved and she's validated, and then I invite her to come back. Like I literally hold her. I always astral project when I do this. but still, I grab her, I invite her to come back with me and grab her hand, and we come back to where I am now, and we invite her to be part of my life now. Quite like I'm literally taking a fragment of me that's stuck in like a trauma loop in a dimension, right, and bring her back into me now. So no, that part of me that wanted to be, seen and heard, right, or throwing the tantrum, right, in that dimension, she doesn't have to be playing that out anymore, and she gets to just come and play and chill with me and go to the park.
And I bet that makes you such a beautiful mum.
I can only hold my children's emotions. I can only hold my clients' emotions or my client situations as deeply as I've gone for myself, right? So like, this is the thing that I received growing up, was a lot of like dismissal, like a lot of like, you have a lot of emotions, so go to your room till you sort it out. Or like, here's a cupcake, stop being emotional, like this will fix it. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of like shunning of emotions. So of course, then I'd have outbursts and then I'd be sent to my room. What I've witnessed for myself anyway is, with parenting, is that before I had done this work, what I noticed was that anytime they had a certain amount of emotion, I hadn't even dealt with my own emotion, so I had to project it onto them because I couldn't even handle my own. So there's this child feeling their own emotion and the projection of the adults, and it's just like all types of fucked. So the more I've done like my inner child work, I no longer have to project onto my children anymore, for a start. And then secondly, I can actually hold them and go deeply with them into the things they're going through, because I have the capacity to do that because my well is so deep. I can hold them.
That's so beautiful.
The healing the trauma around 25, when I went through like my big like moment, right? There's a lot that I moved through then, but then that also taught me emotional intelligence. So now when I feel those like really intense emotions, it's okay. And I'm okay to like go there as much as I want. But I used to worry that like, I'm going to go all the way down here and like stay here. That's not my reality anymore, right? Because I have a much different support, a much different person. But I didn't think this would happen ever again. I thought it would be like a little cloudy day, not like legit your roof just blew off your house in a tornado. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And I think healing is like that. It's like this, it is that spiral journey. And it's like, we've got this kind of like core trauma, and then we resolve it. And then we'll kind of like go on our evolutionary path. And then something will happen and it will trigger us, and it'll be the same thing. And it'll be like, but we respond in it in a different way.
Yeah. It's another layer.
Yeah, we don't, once we've done that core sort of healing, we don't like collapse into that wound and like lose ourselves on that victim timeline. And do you know what I mean?
The more I play in my multidimensionality, right, the more I realize that like, because I am a healer, I've always been a healer. Like I always have been a healer, like from birth, essentially. What I've noticed is that because I have such a great capacity to heal my own physical, like, internal stuff, like at a very deep level in this life, I've also found that the more I've opened up to my multidimensionality, the more I'm actually feeling that depth of, emotion and trauma, like that depth in another dimension, if that kind of makes sense, like for something else, like a past life thing, or, some ancestral things, or, just something else that I, like sexual trauma that I'd like literally forgotten about because it was so traumatic. Do you know what I mean? But like, it's like, I trust myself now. Like, it's okay. It's this continual work of like, sometimes like a little stab, and sometimes it's like a, whoa, holy shit, this is a lot, but I'm okay. It's like but I'm totally fine with it now. Like, this work never ends, and I'm okay with that. And so it honestly is like part of the lifestyle. And so I remember last year I had like a big spike in my income around like May last year. And it was the month after I moved through the sexual trauma that I was just talking about, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, they're actually relative, certainly for me in my life, they're actually relative to one another. Like, healing and income jumps actually happen nearly simultaneously. Like after winter, how it's like dark and you guys probably get a bit of snow, and then suddenly the daffodils are out and you're like, what? And then like it's pouring with rain, you get another dump of snow, but then like you get like this huge lot of growth straight after spring. Well, that's exactly what it's like, I find, with like healing trauma and getting specifically financial results in my life and business, because obviously I'm energetically available for it now because I worked that out. But what I noticed was I actually had this story is, after I've been through the winter, I can't actually have a whole lot of income come in for, if I go through something, right, traumatic, whether it's doing some healing or something in my personal life, or, something happens, right, and I'm going through a lot. I actually had this story that it's going to be like 3, 4, 5, 6 months until I can like come out of it, until I can like sign some new clients, or until I can see a whole lot of abundance. Then I was like, well, straight after winter is when the most explosive, rapid growth happens, like literally on our earth plane. So I was like, so this is just a story. It's not even truth. And so that's what I noticed is like, it gets to be almost simultaneous. So yeah, it's a different edge, I guess.
It's so much of it is about our beliefs, and so much about when we're working and activating and accessing the quantum field is so much about our beliefs. And it's like, that is our job, is to identify those limiting beliefs. It's so profound. When you make that decision that you're no longer going to keep collapsing into those lower timelines, that is when the shift happens.
Oh my gosh. Like it reminds me of like, you know, when someone comes in, well, I mean, this is like my past relationship thing, because my husband and I were very disempowered and very, you know, codependent and all the things. And like, I remember how I used to go and tell him that I wanted to go and do something. Like I wanted to go to town, or I wanted to go and have a coffee date with my friends, or I wanted to something, you know, for me. And I'd like go and tell him, be like, so like I want to go see my friends, you know, like I want to go see my friends, and I like, oh, do you reckon that might be okay? Versus like me now, I'm just like, I'm going to see my friend. Like it's the vibrational difference between like, you know, say, you know what I mean? Like saying it versus declaring it, it's so different. And so the way you're describing that, I'm like, yeah, that's the clear, you know, the moments that I've like literally gone, that is motherfucking it. I have lived this enough. I know what this feels like. I know physically, my human knows there is other dimensions and timelines available to me, and I'm heading there. I don't know how to get there. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm probably going to fall over, but I know I'm done with this paradigm, and like declared. It's like there's no going back. It's like, you know, the way I describe this, like there's so much energy coming out of like a heart portal, right? And it's like, you know, when a river comes down a mountain, right? The river is going down the mountain. If suddenly in the riverbed, in front of the riverbed, there was like a big blockage, the water doesn't be like, oh, okay, we'll just go back up the mountain. We'll just go back up to the top. It's like, okay, well, if the forge, something goes off to the left and makes like a giant like riverbed out of a tiny stream, like it's not gonna stop. And that's like what that decision moment does, is like the water redirects, and it was meant to go here. And it's like big block wall, well, we'll have to redirect. And that's basically what happens with the energy coming out of a heart portal, right? When we declare, it has to go somewhere, because we're like so solid. We've put the wall up. And so that's the reason why the shift happens, is because our energy it's the two things are happening, right? Two things very powerfully happening is, firstly, the energy is still going out. And secondly, we have the blockage or the barrier of what we're not available for. So then it redirects. So those two things simultaneously create that shift and you know, and the expression that we're saying.
And that's a really good visualization as well. To visualize that, if there's any sort of like blocks that you're working with, you can just visualize this water coming out of your heart portal and just creating a new path. This has been the most phenomenal conversation, Angharad. I feel so energized. I'm about to go to London now, and I'm just like, I'm like embodied queen. Come on.
Yes.
You are a queen, darling, and it's so beautiful to connect with you. And thank you, everyone. God bless.
Present today here again. I want to let you know that because I mentioned Money Manifestation Mastery, one of my courses, I have a very exclusive discount code for 40% off MMM. That discount code at checkout for MMM is podcast40, and that'll be linked down below, as well as the book that I referenced in this episode as well. I wish you the most activating, glorious, and abundant day ahead. Come follow me on Instagram at Angharad Sage, where I've just posted a brand new cosmic, beautiful grid with a piece of artwork that I made that's called Touched by God, or the podcast Instagram, which is at Your Galactic Guide. Both links for those are down below. And if you desire to check out the options for working with me privately, I also have a link for that for my one-on-one mentorship Speak With Me options. Speak to you next week, Queens.